the reason that I gravitated towards this kind of work, which is more or less kind of a fantasy world, is that in a lot of respects I was sort of raised in a fantasy world of religion and faith, and there are a lot of ways in which the rhetoric around being an artist or being a musician overlaps with the rhetoric of faith or religion, especially in kind of like the very touchy-feely Protestant Evangelical variety of Christianity that I was raised with. When you consider that within that articulation of Christianity, there's a lot of talk about finding one's calling, you know, or receiving like a calling. There's a lot of emphasis on like figuring out what your gifts are, you know, and using those gifts. And so I think from like a very young age, I was thinking like, you know, I was trying to suss out like what it was that was special about me, or what it, and this all, like, it's funny that I'm here in Denmark. I mean, where this kind of like thinking, I presume kind of runs against the grain, you know. But for me, it was, I guess, you know, very important that I figure out what it was that I could do in the ways in which I was special, and the you know, and then that kind of converging with just basic American success rhetoric about like finding something that you love, and, you know, finding what you're passionate about and doing that. You know, I mean, I guess that's kind of the cynical explanation for why I became, you know, a musician, or like an artist, or wanted to be an artist or something. But I started writing poetry at a really young age, and was really into experimenting with words, and I was very pretentious from a very young age. Like, you know, these poems that were non-linear and would go all over the page, and that was really exciting to me. Around the time that I was 29 or 30 or something, I think I had kind of a premature midlife crisis or something, where I was really taking stock of what I was doing creatively, and really contemplating whether I was going to survive creatively, you know. Because something I wouldn't learn up until that point was that in order to survive creatively, you have to keep moving, you know. And I had kind of stuck in this, I was just stuck in this one idea, you know. Like those J. Tillman records, they're all just kind of re-articulations of the same sort of idea. And a lot of them were, I think those records were really important for me personally, because they were really cathartic for me, and I think that I was really determined to like reinvent myself, you know. And like the perfect moniker for like the reinvention of oneself is like your own name, you know. It's like kind of the most insidious alter ego there is. And I think that was just very, you know, I didn't like where I came from. I didn't like my parents. I didn't like my religion, and I needed to prove to myself that there was some secret me, you know, some like real, pure, unadulterated me that existed like past all of the conditioning and whatever else. And I guess I decided it was this J. Tillman person. But it definitely was not, you know. There were some aspects of it, you know, that were, I guess, true, but I realized that I wanted to communicate, you know, and that's really, I think the most fundamental part of what I do now is that it's about communication. If the name was a device to kind of trick myself into being able to be more honest, then I wouldn't be conscious of it. You know, I would sit here and tell you like, no, 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 you know, but maybe it is. Maybe there is something, maybe that was important, you know, subconsciously. It was a way to give myself permission to do it. But if it is, then I don't know about it, you know. My conscious reasoning was very cynical. I was very cynical about the whole enterprise of singing and songwriting and white men with beards and acoustic guitars and whatever, you know. And I just thought, like, it's all fraudulent on some level. Like, anytime you get on stage, there's something inauthentic happening, you know, or at worst, I guess, something inauthentic, and at the most benign, you are like an object to people, and they are animating who you are with their own perceptions and whatever else. And so to me, a way of keeping it authentic was to, and this is very convoluted logic, but I guess my thinking was that in order to keep it logic, there had to be these very obvious elements of misdirection. Like, I needed to be authentically fake or something. Like, it was like I would rather be authentically fake than to be, you know, this bogus version of authentic, this like heart on your sleeve, like whatever. You know, the music that I'm playing now is like very accessible, you know. It has, which I think it takes a certain like level of maturity or humility or something to engage something that you want people to like, or you want to, or just you want to communicate, you know. Like, that's a much bigger risk, I think, to take than to do something that is kind of like willfully avant-garde or willfully like outsider.
Be the girl who just almost died in my house, half naked looking through your telephone.
And I think that just the rhetoric of singer-songwriterness is so narrow, you know? Like, it's all the words that people use, like, it's always like, his most personal album yet, you know? His most confessional album yet. I think that things that are personal or confessional look different to me than that archetype. And for me, it's like, if I'm gonna really be personal, then I have to say ugly, messy things in my music, you know, to include the whole picture. It's like, what does like real ugliness look like, you know? I mean, you can't achieve that with music that I'm making, because it has to be like aesthetically pleasing or something, but I think that's why I like to juxtapose admittedly kind of ugly or cruel or just real sentiments with this kind of pleasant sounding music, you know, music that I just like. I don't aim directly for irony, you know. I think that sometimes it comes off as irony because, for me, I think a lot of the things that people take really seriously are comic to me, and then the things that people perceive as comic are tragic to me. And so I think that perspective does mean that I can be a little bit tone deaf in terms of what should or shouldn't be in, you know, like saying something without the standard subtext, you know? And in this case, the subtext being the music, you know, or the arrangement or something where it's like, this is not this is not the time or place for this sentiment. with lyrics, you're given so much context with the way that you're singing something, or the instrumentation, and all these things have to be taken into consideration. If I'm not singing my own lyrics, I barely know what singing is. Lyrics I guess just for me, they're so specific to me and my experiences. I think honestly I'm still waiting to see what's supposed to come of all this, you know, or what. I'm not sure that there's like I'm not sure that there's any like noble mission to it all, you know. It's not like a ministry or something, you know. I'm not. Even though it's easy, given my background, it's easy for me to like slip into that kind of thinking when I'm not paying attention. But I think what I said earlier, where it's like I want to communicate, I've just come to realize that that's, in terms of like when I'm honest with myself and what I'm really using the music for, you know, it's like to communicate with people and to get rich, to get really, really rich, and